Good morning, שפע ברכה והצלחה שיהיו משפטם של ראשים והטהורים. פרשת קורח, dispute, Korach and his Datator. And very interesting to see how things are moving in the parsha. One of the interesting things is, when we look at what is Korach telling Moshe Rabbeinu, and what Moshe Rabbeinu is answering him, but first we have to understand, why did Korach put himself in this position? It's unbelievable. You know, Korach was not just another guy. He was a rich guy. It says, shiur ka Korach, rich like Korach. He was one who carried Aron HaKodesh. He had the Holy Spirit, he had Ruach HaKodesh, he had everything. From the spiritual point of view and from the physical point of view. So what did he go into this matter? Why did he put himself in this position? Go against Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron? What, are you crazy or something? And this brings us to what Chazal says. הגאווה, התאווה והכבוד מוציאים את האדם מן העולם. Pride, lust, and honor take a person out of this world, of the world. And the question is, first of all, to understand, what does it mean, take him from the world? From which world are we talking about? If you think that we're talking about the next world, עולם הבא, that's not what's written. מוציאים אותו מהעולם. 1 minute. This doesn't go with what we see around. We see all around people that are have jealousy, honor is driving them to do terrible things. We see evil everywhere. We see lashon hara everywhere, and they're going on like nothing has happened. So where do we see that the ga'ava, atava, ve'akavod motzim tada min ha'olam? Where do we see that those things are taking the person out of this world? The lust, the honor, we don't see it. We see, look around, you see all those people, especially the politicians, that looking for honor, and those who lost their chair, wow, what they are doing. And they're still here, and they're still doing evil. What's going on here? But that's exactly the point. One explanation, I don't remember who it was, he explains, don't remember, okay, that מוציאים את האדם מן העולם, what does it mean? A human being is built from a neshama, the spirit, the Holy Spirit, the soul, and from the body, flesh and blood. Now, how does all this connect together? So the neshama's got 5 levels. There is the nefesh, the ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida. The nefesh is the beastly soul. Then you have the spirit, and then you have the soul, and then we don't talk about it. And the connection of the body, the physical body, to the neshama is through the nefesh habehemit, to the beastly soul. And the nefesh habehemit is really what's making you move. And this every creature in the world has got, because otherwise it couldn't move. This is the let's say the beastly spirit, you can call it. The beastly soul, whatever. Nefesh behemit. Anyway, what Chazal are telling us is, the minute what is driving you is honor, lust, and jealousy, what's happening is now that the human being, the part of the neshama, leaves this world. They take the person, the neshama, out of this world, and what's left is, that's not an Adam, that's not a human being, it's a beast. What is left is the nefesh habehemit, a behemoth. That's what's left. And that's, we can look now around again, and we'll see how true it is. You see people that are driven by jealousy, honor, and lust, how they behave and what they do, and they see something, they willing to do terrible things. And it always reminds me this famous story with Starbucks. Yes, an interesting story. In the States, they wanted to do a survey. How do you get millionaire? How do you get a billionaire? So they sent students from one of the universities, I don't remember the name, all over the States, and to billionaires, to stay with them for whole months and see how they act and what do they do, how did they get to their wealth. Okay, they went they came back and they told this one was this one, this one. The thing that was common to everybody was competition, fighting with the competition in order to get on top of them. And then they asked one of the others, one from all those people that they checked, he answered a very interesting answer. He says, I am trying to do the best I can. I don't care about my competition. I don't go against them. On the contrary, I'm very happy if they're successful. And when they came with this answer, they couldn't, how can it be? This is not normal. So they sent a few students to this guy to ask him again, what is the secret? How can he make it without trying to deal with the competition, to fight with the competition? How can he make it? And his answer was unbelievable. He said that every few years they go around a group of business people to see where they can invest money in order to open a new business. We're talking about Starbucks. Everybody knows Starbucks all over the world. And by the way, interesting enough, I find later on that the guy that owns Starbucks, who did this whole thing with Starbucks, is a Jewish guy that's called Howard Schultz. Anyway, in one of those trips they go to Israel. And he says, we go to Israel, we tour around, we look, and the last day, the tour guide takes them to Jerusalem, to a Haredi neighborhood, and they come to this big building, and he's asking them, before we go down, they were sure they're going to show them something very interesting, maybe something from the past, archaeological things, whatever. And he says, I want to ask you a question. How big has to be institute that has got 60,000 students? No, 6,000 students. And how big is the staff? So they started doing calculation, all those business people, and they told him, need around 150,000 square meters and around 200, 300 staff members. He says to them, okay, now you see this building? This building has got 6,000 students in 3,000 square meters. And the whole staff is 20 people. They couldn't believe it. They go down of the bus and they go around. And by the way, nobody from those students, Talmidei Chachamim, is raising his head to look who came to visit. And you know, normally when a visitor comes to a school, to a university or whatever, everybody's looking, who is this? Nothing, nada. And then while they're going and walking and seeing the miracle, the guide is asking them, what do you think are going to be the offices of this guy who is the CEO of this thing, who is managing all the thing? And how many secretaries he's got? Again, they throw these numbers and they come to this room, a small, very humble room, nothing there but a table and a chair and a cupboard full with books. And this old guy, Rav Finkel, Zecher Tzadik Levra, sits there. He wasn't let's say, a very healthy guy, but we won't go into it. And he says, see this guy? This guy runs the whole show. Also, he is the guy who chooses what they're going to learn. He is deciding who is going to learn, and he is the one who managing also it from the physical point of view. He is making sure that they're going to have the food and everything they need. He says, what? He says, yes, this guy. Now you can ask him whatever you want. He speaks fluent English with no problem. And they went into the room, and Rav Finkel Zatzal closes the Gemara that he was learning, and he's smiling to them. He says, yes, please sit. They sit down. And Howard Schultz from Starbucks is asking him, can you explain to me this? How do you do this? How can you, in 3,000 square meters, have 6,000 students and with only 20 people staff managing all this thing? How can this be? No, we are business people. Without me, that normally this cannot work. They were amazed from the answer. Rav Finkel Zatzal is telling them, you know, there is a beast and there is a human being. You know what the difference is between a beast, a behemoth, and Adam, and a human being? Very simple. A beast, if it wants something, it goes and it doesn't care what is going on the way. Doesn't care. It wants to drink, it will go on top of other stuff, it will do damages. The beast wants to eat or drink or whatever it wants. A human being, he's got the ability to choose what to do. So he can go and want something, but he knows that this is going to hurt somebody else. He's got the ability to go in a very careful way to get his task, his target, what he wants, and also he can help others to get their goal. In other words, that's a human being. It's got the ability to help others and to look for others and make sure that it doesn't hurt nobody. A beast hasn't got it, but in this yeshiva we haven't got beasts. There are no behemoths. They're all human beings that are helping each other. You know, when he heard this, he said to those students who came to him, I changed all the way I was thinking on business. All the system, I changed everything. Till this day that I met this Rav Finkel in Yeshivat Mir in Jerusalem, as my father taught me, you fight your competition, you do whatever you can in order to be on top of them. And this is the way I was acting. But after this, I thought to myself, what am I? Am I a beast? Am I a behemoth? I have to be a human being, Adam. I'm going to change all the system. And from this day on, I didn't care about the competition. On the contrary, if they needed something, I would even help them. I didn't care about how successful they are and what they're doing. And I never, ever tried to damage anything with the competition or do any wrong with the competition. I made sure that I am a human being. And I cared about my business, and this is the way I worked with my staff and with the people that I work with. And we all know that Starbucks is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, chains in the world. Yes, it's very interesting that Dafka in Israel, it didn't go. But all over the world, you know, when I go to China, Vietnam, Thailand, all the way, wherever, the East especially, every corner there is a Starbucks cafe. Unbelievable. And this is a big lesson. What Korach made him behave the way he behaved, Korach shepikeach haya, he was clever, he was rich, he had everything. The jealousy, the pride, the kavod, the honor, the lust, that's what made him get his soul out of this world and do what he did, go against Moshe Rabbeinu. And the big lesson here is that you don't lose if you go in the right way. You don't lose when you help others. You don't lose if you feel good about others and don't want the job of somebody else. Nevertheless, you can win greatness in all fields, like we see here with Starbucks. No competition. He didn't care about them. And he made him successful more than ever. Yes, people will say, okay, I don't know what, but that's a real story. And maybe we all should try it, going this way. Going to know how to fight our lust. And look, 250 great people are standing there with Korach. And they know that only one is going to survive. Korach knows it. And Korach knows because Moshe Rabbeinu is telling him. You have to understand there is only one that is going to survive this test. And still, we see how Korach, a guy that was on top, like he was a tzaddik, or was on top of things, he had everything. He doesn't care. He only sees his target. He wants to be Aaron HaKohen. He wants the job. And he doesn't care if on the way he is going to make people die because of what he wants. He's standing up with 250 people. And he knows right in front that only one, and not nevertheless, why is he standing there? Because the Midrash said that he saw, and he had the Holy Spirit, he said in Ruach, he saw in Ruach HaKodesh, he saw that it's going to be a chain of tzaddikim for him. Shmuel is from his children. And he was sure, if this is the case, I'm the one who's going to survive. He didn't know that his children, that his sons are going to do tshuva in the last minute, and they will survive. Because at the end of the day, they got very good education. From the other side, we have the picture of the Tan Aviram, that they all died because they educated the people with this horrible, terrible way of life, of jealousy, of lust, and running after the honor and everything. So they all went. But Korach, from his base, he was a tzaddik. What ruined him was his jealousy. And this is why his sons eventually did tshuva. But he didn't understand that it's not him. And he thought that he is going to survive. But knowing this, and you still convince 250 people to come with you, knowing that they're going to die, go alone. Why are you convincing them to do this terrible thing? But again, we can talk about it again and again. But I think this is the most important lesson that we learn from our parasha. To understand and realize that pride, lust, and honor take a person out of the world. And what's left is a beast. And another important lesson, if you go in the right way and you behave like a human being, no jealousy. It says, Chavot Alvavot writes that everybody's got his potential, his powers to do the best in his own way. In other words, there are people that have strength, physical strength, but they're not very clever. So they have jobs that has to do with the strength, the physical strength. We have people that they haven't got physical strength, but they have a brilliant mind. And we see it in life. Everybody's got a talent for something else. This guy's got a talent singing, painting. Let's say he's got power. He has got good hands, so he can be a carpenter, a tailor. And the other guy, he's very clever, so he can be a physician. Whatever. Everybody's got. And this is the idea. Don't look at the others. Look at yourself and be satisfied. Be satisfied with what you get, with what you've got from God, because God gave you the best thing that you can get. And if you're looking at other things, it means that you're not satisfied with what God gave you, or in other words, you don't do the job right. And this is what Moshe Rabbeinu is telling them. Rav lachem. Says, do you come to me? He says, Rav lachem. It's a lot you take on yourself. You, Moshe and Aaron, you took all this honor, all the thing. Rav lachem. And Moshe Rabbeinu says to them, Rav lachem. What, you didn't get? You got a lot from God to do. A job. You're Leviim. You do the best jobs. And then he says, Ame'at mikem? Is it too small for you? Is this not enough for you? Ame'at mikem? And what does it mean, Ame'at mikem? It says, if you understand that God knows exactly the potential He gave you and all the powers you've got, and He put you in this position. This is not me deciding, says Moshe Rabbeinu. It's God deciding. And God decided this is my job, this is Aaron's job, and this is your job. So you think that God doesn't know what is the best job for you? Ame'at mikem? It means that you're not doing your job. If you are looking at the others, it means that you're not satisfied with what God gave you, and from other point of view, you don't do the job right. Because if you will do the job right, you will feel that this is exactly the place where you should be, and you will not look at others and want their job. A big lesson. So let us all, first of all, be satisfied with what God gave us. Try and fight the jealousy and the lust, and don't hurt others when you want to go to your target. Be a human being, like the Rav Finkel Zatzal said. Be a human being, not a beast. Yom Tov U'Mvorach, all the best.